Going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Krampus. And for the first time, I'm having a new guest here on this channel, my buddy Sean, over from his channel, Movies That Maher with a Viking. You may be wondering, why did I pronounce it that way? But as you can see in the title, it's actually Maher because that's his last name. I like that he did that. Pretty clever. Movies That Matter with a Viking, but he put his last name in there. So we're going to hear from him in just a little bit. If you guys are looking for more movie-related content like movie reviews or breakdowns on DVD and the bonus content that comes with them, or movie news, this guy is on top of that stuff super quick. So you'll definitely want to check out his channel. The link will be down below in the description box. We'll hear from him in just a little bit, but a big thanks to him for being here in this video. So Krampus came out in 2015, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and it was actually the first ever Krampus film and the only Krampus film that I've ever seen. And scrolling through Netflix and Hulu and some other various streaming services, you'll come across a lot of Krampus films. Surprisingly, there's a lot of B-rate horror films that are centered around the character of Krampus. And yeah, I really enjoy the whole lore around Krampus. We're going to get into that in one little second. But yeah, this movie, what I'll say right out of the gate is I had a great time with it in theaters, and I had a great time revisiting it. This movie does a great job for me of being a blend of not only a horror film, but also a comedy and a Christmas movie. I think this movie works for all three. Obviously, it leans more into the horror element of things, but it does a great job of blending the comedy throughout. And I think this movie does a great job of keeping you feeling like there's a sense of levity throughout the course of the film, while also being able to dip its toes in some creepy imagery and some creepy ideas, but also making this more of a fun movie. This movie for me is just flat out entertaining. It's a quick movie to watch, and it just feels kind of like a theme park ride. You have tons of things going on. It's not super in-depth, but there are some things that you can get a little bit deeper into as far as some nuanced elements of the storytelling. But for the most part, it's just a fun ride with these really ridiculous situations that these families have to go through. This movie is also directed by Michael Dougherty, I believe is how his name is pronounced, and yeah, he most recently directed the King of the Monsters, the last Godzilla film, which I enjoyed a lot about, but I wasn't crazy about. I liked the 2014 Godzilla a little bit more, but I think he's a good director in general. He also directed Trick or Treat, which has gone on to become one of the most classic modern day horror films. I really enjoy that film. I haven't reviewed it here on this channel just yet, but yeah, I love the fact that he directed that and directed this, because for me, this right here is just a solid, fun, entertaining watch. You have a really ridiculous premise with very ridiculous characters, but it does a good job of still just being an entertaining horror film, dips its toes in some comedy, and also kind of feels like a Christmas movie. So this movie opens up and we're seeing that there's just madness in the stores, which kind of just sets the tone for this film. It's like, it is a Christmas movie in a lot of ways. It does celebrate the Christmas spirit and kind of ask you as an audience member what it is to kind of sacrifice the Christmas spirit, but at the same time also kind of shines a light on the ridiculousness that tends to happen around Christmas time. And that leads right into our main character, the character of Max, played by MJ Anthony, I believe is how his name is pronounced. Our main character, Max, is this kid who's going through this new transition in life. It's Christmas time, and his family is not necessarily the same way that they used to be around Christmas time. He loves Christmas. He loves the joyous kind of feeling and festivities around it. He still partially believes in Santa Claus, but his older sister, his mom, everybody seems to be a little bit dismissive. His dad's a little dismissive, and they all seem just a little bit distracted by the world and the stresses of hosting a Christmas get-together and having families over and kind of having things set up, and they're not really focusing on that Christmas side of things, at least not in the way that he remembered. And I think that's something that we can all relate with, right? Like going through that phase where Christmas is no longer about you specifically, because you're no longer the younger generation, and maybe it's focused mainly on the younger kids. And that's not to say that I didn't have any great Christmases as I got older. Definitely had plenty of fantastic Christmases as I got older, but I think we all go through that phase of time where we recognize that, yeah, Christmas is not necessarily always going to feel the same as you get older. There's going to be elements about it that change, and that magic is not always going to be there the entire day. And our main character of this movie is just now really starting to figure that out and kind of go through that with his family. And so now you got family coming over, you got the asshole uncle, you got the cousins that pick on him for still believing in Santa Claus and are just kind of rude. You have have the aunt that's just kind of there. You have the parents that are kind of dismissive and a little bit distracted with everything. And he just doesn't feel like Christmas is how he wants it to be. It's not really what he remembered Christmas to be. And, you know, he's going through this little bit of a transition period. So he ends up ripping up the letter that he had for Santa Claus and essentially, in a lot of ways, just wishing that his family was just kind of not there. He just didn't really have the best wishes for his family. Pretty much just telling them in his mind, like, just fuck them and fuck this Christmas, essentially. And that ends up calling our boy Krampus, who ends up showing up with his ragtag group of different creatures and monsters that are a lot of fun in this movie. And that's essentially the premise of this film, is that now this kid has just wished away his family, or just pretty much said that he doesn't really care for them. He's not really happy with them. You know, I'm paraphrasing here, but that's the basic gist. And because of that, and because of the ungrateful nature of that, Krampus ends up showing up. So I don't really know a whole lot about the folklore of Krampus. I know that it's a foreign folklore and that it's very popular. There's festivals around the world for this character. And yeah, you know, he's essentially the anti-Santa Claus. And that's essentially what happens in this movie. This kid is just kind of lost the Christmas spirit because he feels like his family doesn't have it. And the one kid who's kind of just given up that Christmas spirit now and just said, fuck it. Now Krampus is showing up to just terrorize them, kill them, and just ruin their night. So before we really get into my thoughts now that I've explain the premise, let's go ahead and hear what Sean had to say about this.
Hi guys, I am the Viking, and here's another movie review for you. This film is called Krampus, or Krampus, whatever you want to call it. It came out in 2015. It was directed by Michael Dougherty. Michael Dougherty has written some movies that I really like. He has written X-Men 2, Superman Returns. He's also written this film and Trick or Treat. So he's written some pretty good IPs, and he likes to do some original material also. But this film, I kind of like how this film is laid out. It takes place at Christmas, but it's a horror movie. So you can watch this at Halloween, you can watch this at Christmas, and it fits. Now, if you want to have an argument about, is this a Christmas movie, is this a Halloween movie, I'm not going to get into argument with you. I'll let you decide that. But it's pretty cool to have that kind of debate and to think, what kind of movie is this? Now, the cast is brilliant. Adam Scott, he's usually a bad guy in films, a mean, a bully, but in this one he's the hero, and I like him in anything. And we got Toni Collette. Toni Collette is an unbelievable actress. She can do absolutely anything. Comedy, horror, drama. She's a brilliant actress. We also got David Koechner. He has been in a lot of Will Ferrell comedies, and I love Will Ferrell comedies, so he's very funny. We also got Allison Tolman. I loved her from season 1 of Fargo, so I was already in by the cast. So this film basically takes place around Christmas. Now, people at Christmas, what are they worried about? Presents, food, all that stuff. And this film takes all those elements and turns them on their head. This is a family movie. This family is inviting their relatives over for Christmas, but they're very unappreciative. Everyone is at each other's throats. They do not appreciate each other being there. They do not appreciate what Christmas is really about. It's about family, having a good time, spending time with your loved ones. But this family it's just eating each other alive. The relationship between the mother and the father isn't good. Even the relatives isn't good. So basically everybody is not getting in the spirit of Christmas. And this young boy, who was the only one that really wants this, he believes in Santa Claus. He believes in Christmas. And he wants everyone just to get on. He has his list for Santa. He wants to send it away, but with the family fighting and people making fun of him, he gets annoyed. He rips up the letter and he throws it out the window. And what does that summon? Well, it summons Krampus, the evil version of Santa Claus. Okay, now this film overall, it's okay. It doesn't do anything new or unique for the horror genre. I think this film would have been a lot better if it was an R rating. It was PG-13, which I think took away from some of the elements. I think there's times where you could have used some curse words that would have worked really well in scenes. You could see that the characters wanted to say a bad word, but then they used like words like freaking or stuff like that. Also, I thought they should have did something a little bit more with the characters. I didn't really care for the characters or what happened to them. You know, we meet this family at the start, and they're really kind of mean to each other, so why should I really like them? And then the kid gets annoyed over the family and rips off the letter and throws it out the window. So there was none of these characters that I really wanted to relate to or I was really rooting for to win. I just wanted to see Krampus. And for me, they didn't show enough Krampus either. They should have had a Krampus in a lot more of this film. But what they did really well, okay, so if you're a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, okay, it's like a jump scare game, okay, with these animatronics or whatever you call them. This film is pretty good at doing these kind of jump scares, and it also has kind of characters working for Krampus. You got gingerbread men that come alive. You got kind of other kind of Santa Claus related stuff. There's bad reindeer, so they all come alive and they're trying to. And even the elves were brilliant. They were creepy and they were weird, and they're trying to get this family and take them. And Krampus wants to take them to wherever he wants to take them. Is it to hell? Is it to heaven? Is it to the North Pole? I don't really know, but he wants to take this family. So one by one, he's taking them and taking them and taking them, and that's pretty well done. But what the film does pretty well is it doesn't care. It doesn't matter if they kill characters off. They want to push the edge. Look, there's no character that you can say, oh, they're never going to kill that character off. No, there was a character in this movie that I thought that they wouldn't kill off, and I thought they would bring her back, and they never did. So like, they weren't afraid to take a risk and actually kill characters by Krampus. Krampus was creepy. He looked weird. He was intimidating. He was huge. But they didn't show enough of him. They should have showed more of his character, because I was really eager to see his character. They didn't show it enough. They showed loads of the elves, loads of the gingerbread men, which were freaky and had loads of jump scares, and they were kind of funny as well, but they didn't show enough of Krampus for me. But overall, this it's an okay horror movie to sit down, watch it with the family, to enjoy it for what it is. It doesn't push the boundaries of filmmaking or horror genre, but it isn't a bad film either. There's some nice comedic moments in it, and David Koechner and Adam Scott, who have a comedic background, definitely bring this film, and Toni Collette is worth a watch in anything that she does. Overall, it's a pretty good film. I definitely check it out. The ending is actually pretty good, and I would say if you're going to sit down, definitely watch this with your family or your friends, so you can talk about the ending and you can have theories, because that's great about film, where you can talk about a film after and you're like, what did that mean? Or everyone has a different perspective of films. So if you watch this one, you look at the end and you're like, what happened there? Even I don't know what happened. I have a few theories, but I don't want to spoil anything on you guys. I want you to go watch this film from 2015. You can watch it now. It's nearly Halloween. It's a Christmas movie as well, so you can watch it at Christmas as well. Krampus, whatever you want to call it. Just sit down, have some fun with it, try and enjoy it. And that's what films is all about. Trying to find something to enjoy in all movies. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Write them down below. What did you think of Krampus? Are you going to watch Krampus? Let me know. I'm really interested. Anthony, my man, thank you for letting me on your channel, for doing a collaboration so we could talk about Krampus from 2015. I appreciate you're doing good stuff on your channel. Guys, give him a subscribe, give him a like, comment as well. Do all the things everyone should do to support each other. If you want to come follow me on YouTube, you can find me at Movies That Matter, The Viking, and I talk about a lot of stuff. Superheroes, movies, TV shows, anything. Come follow me if you want to check that stuff out, guys. But definitely give Anthony some love. And Anthony, my man, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
A big thanks to Sean for being in this video. First time here on the channel. Loved hearing what you had to say, and I'm so glad that you were able to make it into this video. I look forward to more collabs as the time goes on. And like I mentioned, guys, you can find the link to his channel down below in the description box. Go give him some love. Let him know I sent you. He's got tons of great movie-related content going on over there. And I look forward to what we do next, man. So yeah, what I said before is I really just enjoy this movie. I think it to be a really fun movie. You got some great actors in this film like Toni Collette and Adam Scott. I mentioned MJ Anthony, as well as, what's his name? David Koechner, who I mainly know from The Office. Yeah, he pretty much plays the same character that he plays in The Office in this movie, that same kind of asshole guy that's a little bit unaware of himself. And I think he's really funny in this movie, where he's a little bit more obnoxious in The Office. I think in this movie, you know, he's definitely obnoxious, but he's a little bit more funny. I enjoy kind of having his presence. And what I enjoy about this movie is you have a very, very unique set of people in this movie. You have the aunt that's kind of brutish, that's kind of like, you know, just wants to sit down in the corner and have a drink, doesn't give a damn about what's going on. You have the older teen sister that's kind of like the asshole in a way, but she's kind of like selfish at the same time. You have the parents that are caring and loving, but a little bit distracted and dismissive. You have the asshole cousins. You have the crazy uncle. You have this great big mix of a family that's all together dealing with the situation now. And what I really enjoy about the film is as things start to pick up, you have all these crazy creatures starting to visit them that they have to learn to fight off. Everything from killer gingerbread man to crazy teddy bears that want to kill you, to some sort of evil porcelain doll angel kind of thing, and then Krampus himself, his dark elves. There's so many various creatures that show up in this movie, and I really enjoy the use of practical effects on a lot of them. There are some, like the gingerbread men and the bear, that are CGI, and they stand out a little bit. They're a little bit cartoony, but I feel like they fit the overall visual tone of the film. But the practical effects done on majority of the rest, like the Jack-in-the-Box creature and Krampus, I think is really, really well done, and I think the practical effects of this movie are definitely something to praise. Beyond that, this is just an entertaining, well-acted movie that just doesn't really ask much of the audience other than shutting your mind off and just being entertained for the next however long this movie is. I don't know off the top of my head. It's well acted, it's fun to watch, it's visually appealing, and I just found the movie to be flat out entertaining. Is it going to work for everybody? Probably not, but I think that if you're a fan of horror and you like Christmas movies as well, this is a good blend of the two. And if you like horror comedies like I do, I think this movie is right up your alley, because it's definitely right up my alley. It's not scary, it's not terrifying. I think that people who are not necessarily huge fans of horror but kind of want to start dipping their toes into some horror could watch this movie without feeling horrified, because the movie is just perfectly laced in with some great moments of comedy, as well as just a very fun and whimsical Christmas kind of feel throughout the course of the film. But yeah, this is just a movie I have good things to say about. I do recommend it for anybody who hasn't checked this movie out. I'll go ahead and wrap it up right here because I don't have a whole lot more to say, other than that this is just a fun Christmas horror movie that I think does a good job of blending those three genres and without making it feel like it leans too heavily into one. We'll leave this review though with saying that the thing that I like the least about this movie is the ending. And it's one of those endings that's very horror movie-esque, almost in a way kind of a hopeless ending, and I enjoy what they did with it. Conceptually, I think it's cool, right? But I think that based on the adventure that specifically our main character went on throughout the film, and kind of what he learns about being grateful and for family and all that jazz throughout the course of the film, for the movie to end the way that it did, I feel like it kind of takes away from his journey just a little bit, but that's just my personal opinion. But as usual, I want to hear what you guys have to say. So do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? And let me know what you liked about this movie and what you didn't like about this movie. I'm definitely curious to hear. As usual, you guys can find the link down below to my guest's channel. Sean, thank you again for being in this video. You guys can hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, comment your thoughts on this movie and the video, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.